How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with The Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at I Am Zozo. This is from 2012. It's directed by Scott Di Lalla and stars Kelly McLaren, Courtney Foxworthy, and Demetrius. And overall, I knew that this movie was both a Ouija board movie and a Halloween movie, so I decided to pop it in for Halloween season this year. I honestly had moderate expectations. I mean, the cover's a little cheesy. Popping through the Ouija board, okay, that's fun. Will I die? Planchette on yes. I was expecting an average direct-to-video horror movie, but luckily for me, actually a pretty pleasant surprise. Now, it's not perfect, and there is a pacing issue in the last half that I will have to address, but overall, it really did surprise me, and it was a pretty good horror movie. First off, the big Ouija scene. It's more than just a scene. It lasts for a while and is basically an act of the film. And the Ouija scene, it takes its time. It really gets in there. It has that whole element of going from joking to are we serious to getting pretty scary. And it's a scene that understands why dark houses at night are scary places. And to be honest, I have thousands of horror movies. I've seen so many. I'm pretty desensitized by this point, but the Ouija scene in this movie actually did get to me a little bit, which is pretty rare, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good. On top of that, legitimately really good cinematography. The movie is shot on Super 8, and I mean for real shot on Super 8, not just a filter applied to digital film. It's shot on film, it looks good, it has that authentic feel to it, and the warmth to it that real film brings to a movie. And I totally get why everyone does digital. Film is just highly impractical, but this movie shows you why it's worth it. It's also shot in a way that keeps you in the moment, that keeps you in the room. All the camera angles are from a conceivable spot where a human could be. You feel like you yourself are another one of their friends and you're on the island with them. That combined with a lot of longer shots, the movie does do this really good feel of making you feel like you're with the characters. It's really good cinematography. It feels like a found footage film. It's not, but for the longest time I was wondering if they were going to address the cameraman like he was just one of their friends that kept silent. But it really does show you that you can take something from a subgenre and use it even if you're not in that. Using the realistic nature and using the ability of found footage to keep you in a moment outside of the found footage genre, it really does work. So a good, scary sequence, really good cinematography. Overall, this is way better than your average direct-to-video horror movie, and I can definitely recommend it. Again, not perfect, and I'll get into that in the end, but overall, really worth a watch just for that Ouija board scene alone. But anyway, let's talk about the plot in order to analyze this further. I won't be doing any major spoilers, but let's take a little bit of a deeper dive. Let's dig in a bit. Anyway, we open up with a group of friends. One of their parents has a house on a small island, and they're going there for Halloween weekend. That's a pretty cool setup. The trapped on the island bit doesn't play out as much as you'd think. You think you'd get the characters going, we're trapped here until Monday when the boat gets back. I mean, it's there and it's in the air, but it's not really forced, you know? And also with Halloween, you get the characters carving a pumpkin. They're all dressed up in a costume. There's a Wicca character that explains the importance of the holiday and how it's shifting from like the light half of the year to the dark half of the year. It's there, and it gives it a sense of atmosphere, But that being said, there's no trick-or-treaters or anything because they're on a private island. But anyway, it gets into the night, and they start to play with the Ouija board. And as I said, this is a really good segment. The camera work, making you feel like you're there with these characters, it's really good. And the way that this scene changes and shifts, it starts off, there's a character that's dressed as a magician for Halloween. He's also legitimately into magic and how illusions are pulled off. And he's like, oh, Ouija boards, you expect it to go to a letter and subconsciously you move it in that direction. It starts off as dismissive, and the first spirit they get isn't even spelling words right, and it doesn't feel like it's real. Second spirit, more reputable. One of the girls thinks she knows this spirit. And then you get like where the Wicca's boyfriend was doing the other end of the planchette, and your main girl was just transcribing what all the letters were. Well, when he taps out, she has to get in there, and now she's taking a more involved role, and the board is going to turn darker. Needless to say, the title does get spelled out. Zozo, supposedly a real demon that haunts the Ouija boards, it was not something made up for this movie. It's a real phenomenon, and I think also the name of a Led Zeppelin album. But anyway, it starts to turn darker, and something unexplained starts to happen, and it really gets dark and creepy, and that is a lot because it takes its time, and it allows this shift of a jokey atmosphere to one where you're really on edge, and it just coasts down that gradient at such a good pace. And like I said, it did start to get to me. The longer it goes, the more it pulls you in. It really is a classic sequence, and it's worth watching the movie for this bit alone. It's really good. But that being said, the pacing problem I hinted at earlier. Eventually the night does end, we get another day, and then we go into another night. And that kind of kills it. You know, the day sequence, there is some good character stuff, and it's not, you know, it's not bad. But going from a scary sequence, then pulling you out of that mood, and then for the second night trying to get you back there and back in the mood you are, it just doesn't quite do it. Despite the second night having some pretty cool sequences in it, it just doesn't top where we were at the beginning. And this does mean that the movie really needed a restructuring. And I feel that if they were able to do reshoots, hopefully someone would have pointed this out, because it was right on the edge of greatness. This movie was so close to being a classic. It's a little sad, really. But if you had just taken whatever you needed from the second day, put it in the first day, and bump the Ouija board sequence back a little bit. I mean, we're starting the scares a little late, so you'd probably have to chop in some creepy moments earlier to keep the mood going. But once you got to that Ouija board sequence, no more daylight. You have a mood going, you can't stop and do something else and then go back to it. Say after the Ouija board sequence, the characters couldn't go to sleep. They're wandering around the house at night, and then we get what would be used as a second night. That would be cool. I mean, you talked about, with the Wicca character, how Halloween divides the light and the dark half. If this movie was a 2-act structure, the light and the dark half, and once we got in the darkness, we stayed there, it could have been so much better, you know? You have something going, don't stop it. Like I said, the second day isn't bad, it just takes us out of the mood, and the second night isn't as good as the first night, it's just we have to work and spend a lot of time to get back where we were. And honestly, it was one of those movies that, it was like, it's good. I love the cinematography. I love the Ouija scene. It was one of the things that legitimately got me, one of the few in quite some time. And I love that it's really shot on Super 8. it was so close, but going back to that second day was just a killer mistake that messed up the pacing, and man, so close. So not a classic or anything, but definitely worth a watch. It does a lot right, and I can definitely recommend it, but yeah, it does have some faults. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Halloween playlist, where you can see me talk about other Halloween movies like Halloween, House is October Built, All Hallows Eve. I've covered quite a few, and you can find them in this playlist here. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.